All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 28th of October, 2021. My name is Riccardo Bosi, and I'm the National Leader of Australia One. Welcome to the A1 Update. Now, we've got a return guest who is definitely one of our most popular. This is John Wilson, former president of Trades Hall in Canberra, longtime communist, and now a man of God and fighting for his country still in other ways. Now, John's been described by blackfellas as the only guy, he's so sneaky, this guy, he can walk through a gins camp without waking the dogs. Now, that's high praise from the blackfellas. Now, the reason we've got John talking to us today is that he's got some words of advice which might shock the Christians, but this is for Christians from a communist. Now, that sounds odd, but by the end of this, you'll know why we're doing this piece to camera. Now, before we go any further, let's just talk about Christianity and Christians in Australia. People say Australia is not a Christian country. That's wrong on every metric. First of all, the majority of Australians, by pure percentage, identify as Christian. Now, people of faith, that's somewhere between 70 to 80%, depending on the numbers you want to look at. Then you've got a bunch of people, maybe 15 to 20% that aren't sure. And you've got rabid 5% who are, dyed-in-the-wool atheists. So they're the real facts. Now, if you think Australia is a secular country, it is secular because we have no national government mandated religion. That's a good thing because nobody wants the government getting stuck into that. But you've got to understand the philosophy, the culture, the morality of our civilization. And we've got a civilization, and it's a Western civilization. And the morality is Christian, whether you like it or not. That's the fact. And I can tell you, having lived and worked in countries that don't have Christianity as the center of their culture, and you may have heard me say it before, culture comprises many parts, but at its heart, and it doesn't matter if you're a black fella in the outback or a white Christian somewhere else, your spiritual beliefs are at the center of your culture. And we've got a magnificent culture in Australia, and at the center of that is Christianity. You don't have to be a Christian, just enjoy the benefits, and that's good enough for us. Now, having said all of that as an intro, John's got some very interesting views and an understanding about why Christianity, and Christians specifically, have been hammered by the communists for decades. I'm not going to, no spoiler alert necessary, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. I'll now hand over to John Wilson, and in his inimitable way, he will illuminate and elucidate on the subject at hand. John, welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Rick, and look, thanks for having me back. And once again, I'll do my best. I'm really not used to all of this professional interviewing stuff. I'm normally confined to the back of a utility in front of big crowds, or on a stump somewhere with a speaker, and rallying the troops in that way. Doing this in a professional way is very different for me. But look, the purpose of me trying to get some information out about the Christians and what's going on at the moment is that I'm getting really worn threadbare, trying to talk to and convince all of the Christians that I run across, right, that they are the solution. They are the solution to what's going on in this country and around the world at the moment. Okay, there's two groups that I run across, right? There's one group that are following false gods, i.e. their churches have been infiltrated by communist operatives, right? United Nations communist operatives or bad actors from the Vatican, right? So they're following some really corrupted religious teachings, right? So there's those, and they're worshipping false gods on that front. And then the other group I run across are really good Christian people, but they believe it's the end times. They believe the show's over, humanity's finished, and the world is finished. And I'm shaking my head, and I'm trying to convince both of them, trying to work with both of them to get their shit together and to recalibrate and refocus. Now, this is heavy going for me, and I feel like a complete and utter hypocrite because here's an old communist lecturing Christians on how to have faith, for Christ's sake. So, I can't tell you, mate, the hats that I wear, but I'm a trained infiltrator. I'm a trained infiltrator from the Communist Party. And as you said, I'm one of the few men in Australia that can sneak through a gins camp without the dogs barking. And even my Abo mates say to me, man, oh man, we can't do that. We can't do that. So, I try and infiltrate their ranks and try and guide them. Get them back on the right track. So, but I do feel like a hypocrite. But look, let me tell you this. We were taught, trained, and it was belted into us as young communists, right? Never to wake the Christians up, never to attack them full on, never to attack their faith up front, okay? Never. Leave them sleep. Leave them sleep. Don't wake them up. Don't shake them up. Don't attack them. Don't confront them, okay? If you're going to do anything, you infiltrate them. You infiltrate them and confuse them and sow seeds of division, seeds of discord. That's how or the communists dealt with the Christians. And we've done a fine job, I can tell you. I mean, you'll never beat these communists unless you love them. And I love these old communists, mate. I love them. They are so smart. But in this war, they're not smart enough, unfortunately, for them. So goodbye, communists, and goodbye, New World Order. But look, the early days, I can remember walking through Sydney, and there was a Christian dude on the footpath on a corner. I think it was up around Ryde somewhere, the North Shore Ryde. And I was walking up the street as a young communist, and I was hanging out with a guy called Tommy Uren. And I said, look at this idiot Christian dickhead over there, bloody preaching the gospel. I should go over there and give him a bloody serve. And Tommy Uren bitch slapped me. He bitch slapped me. He said, oh, don't you do that. He said, you leave them alone, mate. You leave them Christians alone. He said, you wind them up and look out, mate. Look out. They are a force that just cannot be dealt with. And that's what's going on around the world at the moment. That's what's going on. This is the biggest mobilization of Christian forces all around the world. And there's billions of them, billions of them. Christians form the largest piece of the world's population by far, by billions, okay? And the communist forces never wanted to wake that up, never wanted to wake that up. They wanted to let it sleep. They wanted to infiltrate it, sow seeds of discord, to have brother fighting against brother, division and confusion and chaos. And that was the communist tactic. That's what we were trained to do, okay? Now, the Christians have got to understand, mate, that there's been a massive job done on them. They've been the subject of the world's greatest psyop, and that their institutions, right up at the Vatican, the Jesuits, the Freemasons, all been infiltrated, all have been infiltrated by satanic communist operatives, either the leaders of these satanic communist forces thereof. Okay, so they've all been infiltrated, and there's a big job being done on the Christians. And they've got to shake this off them. They've got to dust themselves off and recalibrate and refocus, because, man, oh man, if we can get them to see clearly and to, stick to their faith, then my goodness, mate, the show's over. These satanic communist forces, mate, they'll fold. They will fold. You've got to understand, mate, Christians have the ability to totally focus on their faith and to disregard all the noise, all the distractions, all the noise, and concentrate on their faith. They've got the ability to stand strong in spite of or despite all of the forces that are thrown at them to confuse them. I mean, most of the people that are running around in Australia today are disorientated. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. They don't know why things are happening, etc., etc. But the real fair dinkum Christians know exactly what's going on. Exactly. And they're totally focused. And they're cool as cucumbers. They've got faith. They've got faith. I mean, man, they're a strong force. They're a strong force. Again, when I was in the unions, I'm just telling you a little story. One of the groups of workers I used to represent was the bush firefighters, the forestry workers. Okay, these are the plant operators and out in the pine forest all around Canberra. Now there was a major bushfire raging inside of a pine plantation. There was a family and their wife. Husband, wife, and a couple of kids in a four-wheel drive. They got blocked in. And the fire was closing in on them. They were all going to burn to death. Now, out of all the plant operators, dozer drivers and heavy machine, we couldn't get anyone. They said, look, it's just too dangerous, John, except for 2 or 3 Christians. They were Sicilians. And they said, listen, John, we'll take the dozers and we'll go in and get them. We'll get them. And I said, are you sure, boys? I said, you could lose your lives. And they rang their wives up. Their wives came out to the low loaders. They had their dozers loaded on the low loaders to go to the edge of the forestry. Their wives brought their crosses out. They said a little prayer, and then in they went. They went into the gates of hell. And you've got to see these pine trees explode, mate. You've got to see. They pushed a new road into a burning pine forest, and it was like the gates of hell. And, they rescued this family, and they got them back out. And I said to them, I said, listen, you're as brave as, they got the highest public service bravery medals for doing so. But I said to them, man, oh man, you're brave. And they said, oh, no, it was nothing, John. We've got faith. We had God on our side. And I mean, I'll tell you, they were fearless, absolutely fearless. And that is a trait that runs right throughout all Christians when they're on the right track, when they've got faith in their big man upstairs, and faith in in their Christian teachings. They will take on anything without fear. I've seen this firsthand. So look, to all those Christians out there, mate, the powers that are out there now, the communist one world government, one world religion, the corrupt and utter evil Vaticans and they are terrified of yous, terrified. But the only way that they know, and this is their last play. They don't have any more plays after this, right? These forces. The only way they can get it over you guys and girls now of faith, right, is to convince you, right, that you're finished. They've got to convince you that there's nothing you can do to stop them, okay? And if they do convince you, then there will be nothing that will stop them. If they can't convince you to do that, then you're going to shit it in, mate. You are going to win this war. Have a look at what's going on around the world, mate. This is the biggest mobilization of Christian forces that this planet has ever seen. If I can see it, and old communists can see it, why can't yous? I mean, you blow me away, mate. Blow me away.
Brilliant, John. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to understand that this has been part of as John suggests, and if you've read the book or had a look at the 45 Goals of Communism as enumerated by W. Cleon Skousen in his book, The Naked Communist, this has been part of their strategy. And there's a reason why they've had to undermine Christianity above every other faith on the planet. And they have progressively done so. Do your own research. And they have replaced progressively revealed religion with, or revealed truths with social religion, if that makes sense to you. And all of a sudden, every bent sideline issue gets priority, and the simple truth of Christ's message is lost. His death on the cross, his life, the word becoming flesh, living the life and dying for us. It is a simple message that's been misinterpreted and twisted and confounded humans for thousands of years. But if you come back to that simple message of what his life was and represented, and the fact that he's a good moral teacher, that's the least of the contributions that he made to this planet. And you've got to understand that. That's the least of the contributions. And this is a direct appeal to all Christians right now. You, not the person next to you, not your wife, not your husband, you have the capacity to join in this fight. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit there as I nail Jesus to the cross and say, I better not say anything about this because I might lose my job? I better keep driving this nail in, otherwise I won't get a promotion at the next Centurion elections? Ladies and gentlemen, fearlessness, as John said, comes with faith, and that faith is in Christ. Courage is nothing but love in action. Love for your family, love for God, love for your country.
You want to lose your country, Rick. If you want to lose your country, you don't lose your country through legal means. We're not going to lose this country through some sleight of hand legal means. We're not going to lose this country through some military takeover. We're not going to lose it through some political bastardry. We're going to lose our country through the loss of our values. And once we lose our values on who we are and what we value, right? Once we lose that, we're lost. We're lost. I mean, you've mentioned before about the killing of children, either at full-time, at full-term birth and through pedophilia and sacrificial, satanic sacrificial rituals and things like that. Once you lose your values, once you lose your standards, you are lost. You don't know who you are, and you are easy pickings. And that's why the Christian faith and the Christians have to be dealt with. They've got to be knocked off, and they can't do it. These forces, these satanic and evil forces, these globalists around the world, that's what they're on about now. Destroying the family values, destroying our sense of community, destroying our sense of nationality, destroying our identity, rewriting our history, teaching lies. All of these things are designed to make sure that we don't know who we are. And the one group that you can't do that to is a strong, loyal, faithful, educated Christian. You can't. You can throw whatever you like at them and you can't shake them. I've tried. I can tell you. They're funny buggers. They're funny buggers. And, look, I can't believe that my life has worked out like this. Like an old communist like me, I'm now fighting side by side with all these Christians. I'm telling you. I know that this war is a spiritual war. It's at the end of this, behind it all, it's a spiritual war and a psychological war. That's what we're fighting. And the ones who get it are the sharp Christians. The ones who aren't getting it are the disorientated Christians, the ones that have been fooled, conned. I mean, you have a look at, the Christian forces around the world, baby. I'll tell you now, I can remember the American, 101 Airborne Division. They were going in to fight this big terrorist mob, and, they were all up in the plane, and the big drill sergeant says, right, he says, we're going to jump out of this plane now, parachutes. We've got a mob of terrorists on the ground, and they all want to go and meet their God. And our job here is to help them go and meet their God a bit quicker than they perhaps wanted to. And because our God is going to push them, and man, oh man, they're unshakable. They're unshakable. I mean, there's not a lot of loyalty. There's not a lot of glue that holds the communists strong. Okay. And committed. You've got to get that. But there is a shitload of it inside of the Christian ranks. But they just don't recognize it. They don't recognize it. I mean, this is the biggest mobilization of Christian forces since the Crusades, for Christ's sake. I mean, people are scared. I mean, for me, I'm loving this. This is history never seen before for 1,000 years. And I'm on the front row. I mean, what an honor. What an honor. I mean, by jingo, I don't know what I've done for the big man upstairs for him to bestow this honour on me to be part of the action, but by jingo, it's an honour for me to be there fighting alongside, taking these bastards down. I'm loving it. This is the greatest piece of bloody life I've ever lived. So come on, you Christians, get off your ass. Shake all the bullshit off you. You're covered in, with all this deception and bullshit. Shake it all off. Refocus, recalibrate, and rediscover your strengths. Rediscover it, because it's there. It's there. And I mean, you shouldn't need an old commo to tell you all this, but I'll tell it to you for free. For free. Okay, I won't charge you for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Christians around Australia. Speak to your pastor, and if he or she's not listening, then ignore them and do it yourself. Pray, speak, and act. Pray, speak, and act. Let's do this. Every Christian in this country, you've got a job to save this country. And all of our friends, international friends around the world, same deal goes. Pray, speak, and act. Let's take the planet back from evil. It's up to us. It is up to us.
I said my first prayer a couple of days ago, Rick, I said, dear God, can you please bring Daniel Andrews within arm's reach so I can choke the living shit out of his chicken neck, God. If you do that, I'll be forever grateful. Amen. That was my first prayer.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look, baby, I'm telling you now, you Christians out there, mate, I'm telling you, by jingo, mate, take it from an old com, you blokes are in the winning seat. You gotta fight for it. You gotta fight for it. Get off your ass, recalibrate, get rid of all the bullshit, go back to your roots. For all the other Aussies out there, where do you think our mateship come from? Where do you think sticking together as Australians come from? They're all Christian values. They're all Christian values. That's not invented by Australians. I mean, sticking together, mate versus mate, watching each other's back, helping each other out. That wasn't invented by Australians. That's a Christian value that we've adopted and have become part of our psyche. I'm just saying to you guys, you're the strength. You're the strength. Coming to terms with that. Come to terms with it, and stop listening to all these bullshit artist pastors and priests and cardinals. I mean, most of them you wouldn't piss on. Most of them, fair dinkum. But there's still a few in there that are decent. But most of them, I can tell you now, I can see and recognise communist bloody, communist actions, communist speech. I can hear them. I can see they're communist operatives. They're communist operatives, man. I'll tell you. Once you know all this stuff, you see it straight away. Now, your churches have been infiltrated. Your churches have been infiltrated with all the Seventh-day Adventists, the evangelicals, all of your Catholics are all being infiltrated, and they're infiltrated with some very evil forces. Now, come on, shake them off, get back to your roots, praise the big man upstairs. And look, if you do have a good relationship with the big man upstairs, can you please put a good word in for me? Tell him I wasn't all bad, okay? Just tell him, give him a bit of a go.
Oh, that's the beauty of grace. And people don't understand what grace is. Grace is, in its simplest form, unearned forgiveness. Does that make sense? There's nothing we can do to earn forgiveness. It is an act of grace from God. We understand that. And once you've experienced that on a human, personal, visceral level, there's nothing like it. It's extraordinary. You've done nothing to earn it, but it's not a problem. It's all done. The slate is clean, and that's open to everybody. That's the point. That's the point.
I hope so. I've done some bad things in my lifetime, I can tell you. So I'm hoping he cuts me a little bit of slack. I wasn't all bad.
Well, I've been going through Dante's Inferno, Dante's Divine Comedy, from the inferno, the purgatory, and reaching. I'm now just finishing off with paradise. And I've got to tell you, mate, it's open to everybody that wants it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. One simple act of contrition, a sincere act of contrition, and you're good. And you're good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who, for the Christians out there, pray, pray, pray. And those of you who don't believe in God, pray that the people do all right. Because I tell you, this is our only hope. And we get the Christians on side. We get the Christians motivated. We get the Christians active. This is done and dusted before Christmas. That's how quick this can be over, ladies and gentlemen. Now, not next week, not tomorrow, right now, get on your knees and pray, and then get off your knees and off your ass, as John so eloquently says, and start speaking and start acting and take our country back. This will be done by Christmas. If the Christians get up, it's over. They've lost, we've won.
Rick, I want to tell you another story, mate, and I know I sound a bit kooky, right? But it's important because, look, I have personally organised, generated, organised, and then chaired big protests, big strikes, okay? Now, down in Canberra, there was several of them that I did, but one particular one, I got about 55,000 trade unionists, right? 55,000 of them in the town square around London Circuit. It flooded the whole centre of Canberra, okay? Now, the cause, that particular protest, that particular strike was a very worthy one. Very worthy. It wasn't a bullshit one. It was all for all the right reasons, and it was a righteous one, etc., etc. Now, I chaired that stoppage, okay? And man, oh man, I had that crowd eaten out of my hand, right? I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, but I'm just saying I was really handling it well. But the thing was that there was 55,000 people there, and there was this vibration, there was this frequency, there was this feeling, the camaraderie that was amongst all of those people. It was like we were all just one person because we were all connected, right? Now, the next morning at 9 a.m, I had to go, part of my job as president of the Trades Hall, I had to go and meet with two very senior deep state operatives. These are departmental secretaries, mandarins, the most senior mandarins of the deep state. I had to go and have breakfast with them to talk business with them, okay? Part of my job. So I go along. Now, their offices were 2 blocks away from where that big gathering took place, and it was up on the 8th floor. Now, when I got to the meeting at this cafe to have breakfast and talk business with them, as soon as I got there, both of them said to me, they said, listen, John, we know we've lost this dispute with you. We know. We know we're not going to win it. And I said, and how would you know that? They said, listen, John, we were in our offices 2 blocks away, and the frequency, the vibrations that were coming from that gathering was rattling our windows. Our windows were shaking. There was so much energy coming. We know we're not going to win this. Every time we go into a blue with you, Wilson, you always generate that sort of electricity, that sort of frequency, that sort of vibration. And we know, we can feel that we're on the losing side. And I said, okay, well, we'll meet this afternoon and you bring your checkbook and we'll fix it up then, eh? But I'm serious. When you get a lot of people coming together, when you get, thousands and tens of thousands coming together, whether they're praying or meeting, if they're all together, if they're all, part of the one cause, the connectivity amongst everyone produces this positive vibration, man, and you can feel it. You can feel it. I used to feel it up on the stage with these big meetings, man, and it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, but it's real. It's all real. I can't tell you anything about prayer. I've only said one one prayer in my life, and that was out of desperation to choke Daniel Andrews' chicken neck, and you know, so I can't give you any you know, stuff on that, but I can tell you, when you bring those forces together, those good forces, when people come together, by jingo, man, it's like electricity, and it's powerful stuff, very powerful.
Well, there's a call out to all the Christians out there. Now, here's the trick, though. You have to lead yourselves. This isn't a time for sort of one voice to speak. You know what you've got to do. That one voice that we need to listen to died on a lump of wood 2,000 years ago. You don't need anybody else to tell you what to do. Step up, every last one of you. Get together with your church, with your group, whether it's online, offline, in person. You know what you've got to do. Go do it. Don't wait for somebody else to organize it. Don't follow, lead. The only way we can get out of this, ladies and gentlemen of Australia, is if we have 25 million leaders that say enough is enough. Stop waiting. Christ did his job. Now it's time for you to do yours. You know exactly what you've got to do, and don't bullshit us with excuses. Step out, be brave, do your job. And this has got to be done, and this has got to be done right now. Every Christian out there, either you do this or you're another bullshit Christian that thinks if you just hold hands, you're going to be fine. Well, it's not going to work. Because if that would have worked, Christ wouldn't have to die on the cross, but he did. So he carried his burden, you've got to carry yours, whatever that might be. So every Christian out there, act now. No more waiting, no more excuses. It's on you. Either you do it or you don't, and stop waiting for guidance. You know what you've got to do. John, any last words before we go?
No, good. No, Rick, you know, again, I just say I want to reinforce how scared, how much fear is in those satanic communist forces for an awake, active Christian, mate. They're terrified of them, man. They're terrified. And what reduces them to a pulp is when the Christians, you know, don't come out with a, you know, an axe handle wanting to kill them, but they say, I'm going to pray for you. I mean, Jesus, you ever seen a communist shit himself when he got a Christian said, I'm going to pray for you? I mean, crikey, man, oh man, they're better people than me, you know, better people than me, but you're right. Realise your power, take it in both hands, start discharging it, stand up. You know, the game's over. As soon as you do it, the game is over. They know you will send out a frequency, you'll send out an energy, you will send out an electricity that the whole country will feel. They will feel it. And you have to, because we're in a spiritual war, Rick, because it's a psychological war, but most of all, it's a spiritual war, okay? The Christians have to lead it. They got to lead it. And if they don't lead it, then you've got a whole bunch of other people out there, their countrymen, that won't know what to do. So they've got to lead this. They've got to get out and show us how to defeat these satanic bastards. Because all of the other people out there, they all still think that this is about a jab. They all still think this is a constitutional problem. They all still think that this is a legal problem, a political problem, a United Nations, but it's not. It's not. This is a battle for our souls. And the Christians are sitting on their asses. Come on, shake it off, fella. Get out there and start showing all of us how to win this war. You got me?
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from an old communist to the Christians of Australia and the world. It is on us. We either win or we lose, and it's on us. John Wilson, thank you so much. More eloquence than Shakespeare. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Riccardo Bosi. This is the Australia One Update. I'm the national leader. Thank you very much for joining us today. And once again, Christians of Australia and the world, it is on us. Start now and do not finish until we win. Thanks for your time.
Hallelujah, comrade. Hallelujah, comrade. That's what I like to hear.
Amen.
Amen, too.